This is day 6, and there's a definite point in this hour-long meditation where my head starts to tingle. Like there's this definite activity that's happening across my head. Then I see these like lava lamps, globs of purple color, and it's seemingly from that point where I'm not thinking as much as I am prior to that moment. Today, of course, the thinker is very, very active, and I sit there and just observe and kind of wait for that moment when my head starts to tingle because I think, oh, that's when I slip into something else. And then the next thing I know, I'm not thinking about when is this going to be over, and gosh, an hour is really long, and why did we commit to this, and it's the weekend, and then at some point after that, that's not there anymore, and then I hear the buzzer go off, and here I am talking. And this is day 6, and it's pretty funny. I posted my first video on my personal Facebook page yesterday, and I got a text from a friend back in New Jersey, and she says, "Oh, I just watched your video, and I'm kind of curious. Why are you so confused?" And then she said at the end, "Gosh, maybe I'm confused too, and I don't know it." So that's just kind of interesting, getting some feedback, and spent some time with a friend yesterday. And now I'm just acutely aware of how these thoughts sound and the language of these thoughts. And I was sitting with just a very dear and most special friend last night, listening to him talk about some of the things going on for him, and I could hear him say similar things like I've been saying. The way the thoughts present our lives to us and make us feel like, because we don't know, and because we don't have a specific plan, and because we're not working full-time jobs like everybody else, and because we don't have the financial security that is, available to people who have long-time jobs and careers, and, because we don't have seemingly the kind of security that others have, that we better. And so today, I'm April 1st, I'm just sitting with all of this, and I'm just allowing it, and I'm very excited to get to some writing today. It's a cloudy day here in Anchorage, and I feel the need to get to the I was going to say get to the typewriter, so that's fine. But yeah, just to share more of whatever this thing is. So for sure, meditating an hour a day has definitely been a stretch. It's been interesting. Getting up at the same time every morning has been a discipline I don't usually have in my life, and so that's very interesting as well. And I did have another friend who was watching my first video last night, and they were like, "Oh, I really don't want to watch this. It's depressing." So it's just interesting to hear people talk about what it is that this all is. And I found myself getting a little defensive. I found myself, pulling back a little bit, going, well, how would you like it if you had to meditate for an hour and then, just turn the microphone on and start talking? Yesterday I did something really interesting on my show. I actually, I talked about some of this for quite a bit, but I also brought up this idea that I've had about either changing the show I'm currently doing or doing a second show. And I've been thinking about, bringing that to my audience, and I did yesterday, and so that was really interesting. So I woke up this morning and I was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Telling everybody that, and why did you do this?" And then, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. It's April 1st, and I always think of that Doobie Brothers song, "What a Fool Believes." And I guess today a fool believes that they're separate from who they really are, because we're not, and I'm not, and you're not. This is day 6 of my 100 days of meditating for 1 hour in the morning and then rolling a video. And as I was in my meditation this morning, I was thinking about this past week a lot and how crazy this is. And what a stretch this is, not just meditating for an hour every day for 100 days, but getting up at the hour I'm getting up at to do that, and then to do this, to like roll this tape, and not really knowing why, and not really knowing what I'm going to say, and not really knowing if it's means anything. It's just a really interesting experiment. And for all this time, I've been very much convinced that one of the things that's happened to me in the last 3 years is that I've become comfortable not knowing. Because when all this stuff happened to me back in 2008, 2009, the entirety of my life fell away. The whole bottom of my life, the top of my life, and the middle of my life just completely fell away. And I didn't know anything. My relationship ended. My business partner left our business. My dad died. I lost my job. And I lost my beloved dog, which was my child. And I was nobody. I had no titles. I had no identity. I had nothing. And I was just walking dead. And I didn't know anything for a really long time, except that I was still alive and I hadn't taken my own life. And then I eventually, after like 18 months or so, I finally started to walk out of that and into life again. And it was a very humbling experience. It was the first time I really knew how to take care of myself. And it was like this. It was like, what do you need? And I would say, I need some water. And I would go get some water. What do you need? I really need to take a shower today, and I would go take a shower. It's just this profound rebuilding on such a basic, core, and fundamental level that I was completely alone in that, and it could be no other way. Nobody could be with me in that rebuilding. I was so inside myself in a way I had never been before, and of course that turned out to be a very profound experience as I was laying this new foundation upon which this next part of my life has been built. It has felt since this past weekend, so it's Saturday, so just a week ago I was in LA, not getting anything I thought I needed to get, and instead was being cracked open in a way that I didn't want to be. But since that time, I can kind of sense that even more has been softened, even more has broken away, and even more space is being created for something to emerge. I don't know what that is, but I can feel it. I don't know how to make that happen, but I trust that it is. And in the meantime, I'm just continuing to ask myself, what do you need? What do we need to do next? And seeing what those responses are. So this is day 6, and it's April 1st. It's April Fool's Day, and I always think of that Doobie Brothers song, What a Fool Believes. And I feel like I've been face to face with my fool for at least 8 days now, and I love her anyway. This is day 6.